So we came across this interview that Miley Cyrus did on the Call Her Daddy podcast, where she talked about when she was first with her ex-husband, Liam Hemsworth. And she said that she initially lied to him about her V card. And not in the way that you might think, and not in the way that we initially thought either. It's a pretty insane interview. Let's just look at the clip first. But I would assume you think this means she told Liam Hemsworth she was a virgin when they first got married and wasn't. It was the opposite,
this
weirdly
is so
enough.
Weird.
The Call Her Daddy interview?
Yeah, the Call Her Daddy podcast.
Here we go.
Okay.
We got a 20?
I hooked up with, well, I didn't go all the way with the dude. I was 16.
It wasn't Nick Jonas.
It wasn't Nick Jonas, but I ended up marrying the guy.
Oh my God.
So that's pretty crazy.
So that's the first guy you hooked up with.
Yeah, which I lied and said that he wasn't the first, so I didn't seem like a loser.
Okay, but now you're telling
It's
the truth.
such more of a full circle story. It's so fucking weird because I couldn't think of anyone. He was like, "Oh, who have you had sex with?" And I couldn't think of anyone, so I just like made somebody up that I
Right.
knew, but we had never actually had sex before. And then
Right.
like his friend ended up marrying him, and so then it was like, "Oh, now my friend is marrying someone you've hooked up with." So then when I was like 24, I had to say that I lied when I was.
You're like,
16.
so that was a full.
Okay.
Dude, what are chick podcasts?
There's 220s
It's
there.
the Ultimate Chick podcast, and that's what it's for. But that Stanzatastic said, excuse me, hosts of PCC. I assumed the dono would stop the madness like we did with People's Joker. Is this not worse? It might be worse than People's Joker.
It's not worse than People's
No?
Joker.
What
No?
is?
No.
Shane H. Wilder said, I hate this bitch. Someone said she was pretty. I'm like, are you high? All Butker said was that homosexuality was a mortal sin, which is true. As far as the main bit everyone is pissed about, a career is not a vocation. Damn, that's pretty savage coming from Shane H. Wilder. You're usually a wholesome chungus, but I support it. So yeah, she did not lie to Liam Hemsworth about being a virgin. She lied to Liam Hemsworth about not being a virgin.
It's almost more interesting.
Which was so puzzling. But this got posted on this gimmick account called Women Being Awful. I believe we have sourced from this account before.
It's up
With
there
the
with women taking
implication,
L's.
the implication here is obviously, you're trying to spin a narrative that she wanted Liam Hemsworth to think she was a virgin, but obviously we're in a culture where that's no longer really prized anymore. So why would she do that?
I said to Mary before, and I said, maybe it's just because I'm in this space with people, with so many people that are Catholic or people that watch the show or watch Timcast.
Sure.
And I'm like, you do know that out there in the real world, because I don't consider Timcast the real world or any of our jobs the real world.
No, not even close.
This is not the way that people think anymore. It's just not.
It hasn't been for
Very
decades.
long. Like there was whole
Many
movies.
decades.
Remember, the movie American Pie was literally a bunch of guys, going out on a quest to lose their virginity.
Now, granted, it wasn't teenage girls in that movie, but
the point is in those films, like the idea used to be that women would be prized, were more prized in society for chastity and virtue. But now society continually tells them, it's like that video from a couple weeks ago that went viral, the comedy skit where the lady talks about how she took a guy home and she said, but nothing's going to happen, right? And nothing's gonna happen, and we can just cuddle. And the guy's like, okay. And so they just cuddle, and then she gets mad at him and says, like, well, what are you, gay? You didn't want to have sex with me. 'Cause she's insane. But now this is a comedy sketch. But the point is the idea holds, which is that you think that that's what you want, but society has told them that they're not worth anything unless they're being valued sexually.
yeah,
That's the way things are now.
it's kind of sad. It's kind of depressing, but it's just it's interesting. I really don't understand this from like a psychological perspective, because isn't it true, just evolutionarily speaking, that the less sexually available a woman is, the higher status that she has?
I don't know a single guy that's been like, my girl, she's been around. Like bragging.
Right. So, but then she still felt this societal pressure to tell her boyfriend.
At 16, too.
At 16, like, oh yeah, like I've done it all. Like, that's very sad, honestly.
But 16 is different thinking.
Well, what's even worse,
this is her.
in the same interview, she said this, and I find it really disturbing. Like, this is a sign of parental neglect, no doubt about it. She said, I was 11 or 12. My friends were starting to tell me what they were doing with guys. This is 11 or 12. I didn't really understand it. I got most of my girlfriends to hook up with me. She said the first time I ever hooked up with anyone was a girl, 2 of them. And she's implying that happened when she was either 11 or 12 years old. I mean...
Where were you, Billy Ray?
This is insane. Like, we played with dolls when I was that age.
Playing Pokemon.
Like, I just can't even begin to understand the type of upbringing someone has where they think that this is normal. But yeah, I tweeted about this because I thought that it was interesting. She lied about the opposite thing that people thought she was lying about. And someone replied to me and said, oh yeah, I lied to my now husband of 13 years at first when we were first together. She said I was 19, I was a virgin, and I thought it was something that was embarrassing and that I was a loser. So she lied. And
most likely he didn't see that as a virtue anyways, because he's probably not religious.
Probably not.
Probably didn't
But
care.
would he be repulsed by it either?
No.
I don't think
also,
so.
Also, there is a vast difference, and it might be easy to say otherwise, but like having sexual experience and just riding a carousel of dick for 10 years is vastly different.
There are different degrees.
Those are different things
to these
right?
things. But it's funny because, you know, she initially met Liam Hemsworth on the set of a Nicholas Sparks movie in 2010.
Then nothing lives up to the hype.
Nothing
after
can
that,
live
right?
up after that. So they got engaged, then they got unengaged, then they got engaged again. Then they got married, and then they divorced 8 months later.
Whirlwind.
That's the modern love story, in Hollywood at least.
Like, my guess is that he's a dude, and he just didn't care. He just doesn't care.
Well, he did ask.
Yeah.
He did ask.
Maybe,
so.
For no other reason than to make sure it was like none of his friends.
Maybe.
He's like, look, I don't care as long as I don't have to find out I'm Eskimo bros with any of the dudes that I hang out with.
This was also funny. Miley Cyrus says she began to feel ridiculous playing Hannah Montana as soon as she had sex. Yeah, she said, once I was 18, it felt ridiculous. The minute I had sex, I was kind of like, I can't put the effing wig on again. It got weird. It just felt like I was grown up. One time I went backstage at Disneyland and Peter Pan was smoking a cigarette. And I was like, that's me. That's the kind of dreams I'm crushing. That's how everyone felt with the Bong video. But I'm not a Disney mascot. I'm a person. The Bong video.
Guys, who is
the infamous Bong video?
Who is the world-class Olympic swimmer who holds all the records?
Michael Phelps.
It didn't ruin me. It doesn't make him less of an athlete when he got caught smoking a bong after the Olympics.
Well, she lost this gigantic deal with, like, a distribution deal with Walmart because she was 17 at the time. And this video was probably getting circulated on MySpace of her, like using a bong. And
Reminds me of Obama's daughter with the belly hanging out smoking the J.
that would never happen today, I feel.
I just feel like
a pop star of that age, like, losing a huge deal over smoking weed. That wouldn't happen
She'd get
today.
like a weed sponsor.
Yeah, easily.
vape sponsor.
Easily.
Like
She'd start her own brand.
I see this and I think that conservative spaces think so much about the morality of sex that it's just something that the average person who isn't religious doesn't think about in that way. Now, there's definitely the argument to be made that they'll be like, look, I don't want somebody who's just been with tons and tons of people. But there's such a gap there between getting a reputation as that and never having sex in your entire life.
Yeah, I mean, even looking at this topic from the perspective of a religious person with, like, strong views about sexual morality, I can see that, you know, there's much less cultural incentive for women to be chaste these days, for young women, like young adults or teenagers, to be careful about who they are with. And especially if they feel like they're going to be mocked for it, or like there's this message that men will find it repulsive.
Repulsive?
Yeah, there's this pervasive, I mean, I think I've heard from a lot of women who are, like, I guess, more traditional, more religious, that if they say that they don't want to, you know, have sex before marriage, there are a lot of guys who would ghost over that, for sure. Like, I've heard that.
Oh,
plenty
yeah,
of
about
times.
that for sure.
Well, yeah,
Plenty.
But they wouldn't find her repulsive.
Maybe not repulsive, but they're not willing
Repulsive enough to, like, be like, okay, I'm never talking to you again, bye.
Well, I mean,
Pretty repulsive.
Wouldn't that be what you want, rather than a dude who strings you along and says he's okay with it, and then
sure.
presses you constantly?
Yeah.
Yeah. Liam Hemsworth is like, look, I'm a Hemsworth.
Thank you guys.
He's like, I can have a lot of women. Maybe not as many as my brother, but I can have a lot of women.
It's kind of wild how long they were together and then to only be married for 8 months. Like, did you even try? They started dating when she was 16 and he was like, what, 20 or something?
I feel like I sleepwalked into 9 months marriage.
And then
sleepwalked into 9 months of marriage.
Yeah,
like I woke up one day and I was almost at a year.
Yeah.
And then you said and then my favorite part of this story is you were telling me how she made a song about him cheating on her to like shame him for cheating on her, but she cheated too.
They both cheated.
But the volume of cheating was greater on his part, therefore she's allowed to make the song.
The rumor was that she filmed a music video in the same house in which he cheated on her with 14 different women at the time.
I mean, dude, Chiquita was also kind of
Couldn't even get to 15, just
14.
round it up, loser.
round it up, bro.
That'll hold him off for the next fortnight.
It's like that way when he has to remember all their names, he can just count them off in like rungs of 5. Like, Tasha, Sarah, Michelle, just goes through them one by one.
There's so many chicks doing like, you cheated on me, but I'm over it. Like music videos, and they're so lame.
When you're like clearly not over it.
Yeah, you're so over it.
The point is that she cheated too, which I feel should disqualify you from making
She forgave herself.
Yeah,
Right.
yes, as I was saying the other week, there's nothing a woman
forgave
loves more
herself.
than to forgive herself for something she's done wrong.
Oh my God.
Who needs society's forgiveness when you can just forgive yourself?
Exactly.
Like I imagine that, like you hit a homeless person with a car, and you're like, look, I shouldn't go to jail. I forgave myself.
And by the time I got home, I forgave myself.
That's
so
so,
it never happened.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.